Welcome to Muskegon Rising, a community service project of the Muskegon Rotary Club. Our purpose is to create lasting positive change. We've been doing that here since 1916. So, let's get started.
Hello, I'm Lisa Stafford. I am your host today with Muskegon Rising, where we delve into stories of inspiration, leadership, and community impact. In today's episode, we're honored to be joined by Stacey Kennedy, the Mission Advancement Lead of Youth for Christ, a global movement dedicated to reaching young people with the transformative message of Jesus Christ. In Muskegon Rising, we explore the grassroots efforts, innovative projects, and community partnerships that are driving positive change throughout the city. From urban renewal projects to economic development initiatives, Muskegon Rising showcases the resilience and spirit of our vibrant community. So sit back, join us as we journey through the stories of Muskegon Rising and gain insights from Stacey Kennedy on the mission and efforts of Youth for Christ. Get ready to be inspired by the power of community and the pursuit of a brighter future for all. Stacey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
To get us started, can you please share with our audience a little bit about the mission of Youth for Christ?
Sure. So West Michigan Youth for Christ is one of the chapters of the very large international Christian nonprofit Youth for Christ that got started back in 1944. And in fact, Billy Graham was our first paid employee. So we're a little different than some other Christian nonprofits in that we don't have brick and mortar locations, but rather we go to students. We focus on kids that are ages 11 to 19, and typically the kids that we work with are the marginalized kids. We have 5 different ministry models. So we have Deaf Teen Quest, which works with deaf and hard of hearing kids. We have Juvenile Justice Ministries, which focuses on those that are in the detention facilities in both Muskegon and Kent County. We have Parent Life, which works with pregnant and parenting teens. We have City Life, which works with our urban population. And then we have Campus Life, which works with middle school and high school kids.
That is a huge program. I had no idea. Thank you, Stacey. So as the mission advancement lead, can you share us kind of about your responsibilities and what is your role within the organization?
Yes, certainly. So we have been around since 1944, and we have a very large presence in the Kent County area, but we don't have as large of a presence here in Muskegon County. So my husband actually also works for Youth for Christ, and he's in direct ministry in the Montague and Whitehall areas. Then we also have somebody who's in the Fruitport area. We have people in the detention facilities in Muskegon County, like I had mentioned, and then we also have in Muskegon proper our City Life going. But there's a lot of pockets within Muskegon County that we yet have not served this population. So we are looking to grow in those ways.
Stacey, what inspired you to kind of join that organization and just to get involved with mission advancement overall?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when my husband felt called into ministry 8 years ago, I became his big volunteer. So if my husband's doing it, then I'm doing it. So my husband is Ian. He quit his job of 17 years that he was in sales, felt called to move into this role. And so then I also became involved with it. And we work with very underserved and under-resourced kids. And I just fell in love with these kids. These are the kids that kind of fall through the cracks. And so when there was an opportunity to get involved in a paid position, I applied immediately, and luckily they said, okay, come on board. So here I am, and I've been here for about a year in this role.
Awesome. Well, you talked a little bit about the initiatives. Maybe give some more highlight to these initiatives and some of the projects that you're working on.
Yes, excellent question. So specifically in Montague and Whitehall, we work with those kids that are really struggling in a variety of ways, those kids that deal with a lot of trauma. So our weekly programming is we have large gatherings. So that happens on Mondays after school, where we get the kids directly after school and we meet at a local facility. We always feed our students, And then we always have games, and then we always have a message that is relevant to their lives. That is the typical model for a campus life program. Detention facilities look different because they're right in the facility. So there's always folks that are going in on Saturdays to work with students there, and then also other times of the week. City life is more of a neighborhood approach, so that's very much community focused, so working with a lot of partners and linking arms that way, doing those sorts of things. But beyond just weekly things, it's a lot of small groups and, taking kids out for pizza and working on homework issues, driving them to appointments, simple things like that. And then, of course, we have summer things that are going on. We have camp. So the kids will go to North Carolina this summer. So we'll have charter buses, and the kids will all go meeting up with the Grand Rapids folks as well, and they will meet hundreds and hundreds of other kids from all over the Midwest, and they'll have a week of camp. And oftentimes camp is the only opportunity that at-risk students have a chance to actually be a kid. So that's a highlight for them. So those are a few of the things that we do.
Could you talk a little bit more about, you mentioned a deaf student program. Can you get into that a little bit more?
Certainly. So those folks tend to be very much isolated. So there is pockets of a deaf and hard of hearing all throughout Muskegon and Kent County. So our person who runs that program is indeed deaf herself, and everybody who is involved in that program is very fluent in sign language. But a lot of times, kids that are deaf or hard of hearing do not have family that actually knows sign language. So they do not get to communicate. So they're very isolated and alone. But with DTQ is what we call it, which is short for Deaf Teen Quest. They're amongst their people, they're amongst their friends. And so it's an opportunity for them to be, heard, for lack of a better word, and to be seen and to laugh. And what's really interesting is, the large group will be completely silent because they're all, communicating via sign. And then you'll hear the laughter, and it's just a wonderful sound.
How do you go about engaging these young people in the communities?
Yeah, so we have a lot of community partnerships. We work with school administrators. We work with different church groups. We work with different organizations that let us know of students that perhaps need to be reached out to by our programs, and so that we can connect that way to them. And once again, we go to this where the students are. So oftentimes, you'll see Youth for Christ leaders at sporting events and concerts and band concerts and connecting with students that way.
So a lot of collaboration.
Yes, absolutely.
So in your experience, can you share some of the biggest challenges that your organization has faced?
That's a really good question. So there are fantastic wraparound services in Muskegon County that reach a variety of kids. But there are still kids that fall through the cracks. And you can see those kids when you walk into a cafeteria at a high school. You'll see them. They're the ones that are sitting all by themselves. They're the ones that have their heads down, or they're staring blankly out, into the universe. They have nobody around them. And, research says that 1 out of 10 violent crimes are committed by a juvenile. 1 out of 5 teenagers will contemplate suicide this year. And in fact, 40% of kids ages 11 to 19 have one or less than one trusted adult in their life that they can talk to. So that means they don't have parents, they don't have any family members, they don't have teachers, coaches, nobody that they can talk to. So those are the challenges, and we need more. We need more people to come alongside these kids. We need ministry mentors that will walk alongside these kids. And we need people that will stick. We don't need folks that will just come into their lives for a minute and then leave. They have enough of that. That's what they've had their whole lives. They need people that they can trust and that will stay with them during these pivotal moments. They need people that will walk alongside them when they really goof things up and mentor them through those difficult times. And then they need people, those same people, that will be there and cheer for them when they do it right. Be there to help them blow out the candles for their 16th birthday, or be there to help them dream about a future. Like, what does that look like? How do I get the grades to go to college or tech school and then get out of that mud puddle that they've been living in of generational poverty and lack of education and ignorance so that they have a future? That's what we need. We need more folks that will come alongside these kids.
Can you share some of the success stories that you've seen?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's quite a few.
Yeah, so it's been fun. I mean, for the last 8 years, once again, I'll reference my husband just because I'm closest with him and his stories and my kids, meaning our ministry kids. We had a student who, she was in a very difficult home life. And so she, little by little, removed some of the items from her home and stored those so that when she turned 17, she was legally allowed to leave that home. So we worked with CPS, found her a safe place to land, and then also worked with the school and Ferris so that we could get her to Ferris, where she received many scholarships, and very bright person, and was able to go on and pursue a college degree.
That fills my heart.
Yes, me too.
So anybody in our listening audience that is hearing the story and maybe they're passionate about helping the youth, how do they go about becoming part of your program?
Yeah, so you can absolutely reach out to me if you're looking for contact information. Is that what you would like to get?
That would be great.
So I'm Stacey Kennedy, so you can reach out to me. My phone number is 231-769-0237. If you want to learn more about our ministry as a whole, because we do work with the whole student, we're not just concerned about, their spiritual lives, but, their physical, mental, emotional, all of it. That's what we care about. We have our annual fundraising event coming up, which is at Maranatha on Tuesday, April 30th from 6:30 to 8 p.m., and that is a free event. So please get in contact with me. And that would be a great opportunity just to learn more about us.
Well, I love that idea of collaboration and certainly can use more and more. And I imagine even after COVID and there was so many things going on with our youth that you probably saw an even greater need.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Kids are, they're on their phones all day long. This is a generation of tech. Mm-hmm. And actually, they struggle with face-to-face conversation, and you have to catch them immediately. You have to engage them immediately, and so we try to do that. We get educated a lot about this Generation Z, and then Generation Alpha is coming up next, and just how to reach those students in the language that they understand.
Do you give training to anybody that wants to volunteer and walk alongside of you?
Oh, absolutely. So it is rigorous, to be honest with you. We don't just let anyone who has a heart for students come alongside them, but they need to get a background check and all sorts of hoops that they have to jump through. And then they also have to do a variety of different trainings with us as well.
All right, so people can walk alongside, collaborate, come to your dinner, maybe write a check to support some of your big expenses you have, I'm guessing?
Yes, absolutely. So, we are a nonprofit. We're a 501c3, so everything that we do is based on donations from individuals and businesses and the like, but most of our funding comes from individuals who care about the work that we're doing. So we love to partner with people because those that are in direct ministry with students and, actually on staff with Youth for Christ, that's part of it. But we need those other folks who are able and feel passionate about this ministry to write those checks as well, because they're also in ministry with us. They're just doing that part. It all counts. It's all necessary.
Stacey, what kind of advice would you give to our young people today that might be facing some challenges and Or they're just looking for some guidance in their life?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, too. So I understand our at-risk kids because I was a kid that came from trauma. I was a kid that had a very violent childhood with a dad who beat my mom for my entire childhood in front of my sister and I. And so I understand what it feels like to be stuck and to feel like they have no control and they're never going to get out of this. And it's not true. There is hope and there is a future and there are opportunities for them. And they need to realize that their past is not what defines their future. So I would tell them to look forward, look ahead. There's a bright future out there. The Lord wants so much for each and every one of us, them included.
Your past does not define your future.
No, absolutely not.
Thank you, Stacey. And thank you so much for this message of hope today. It has meant a lot. And as we bring this conversation to a close, I am left inspired by the overwhelming impact this organization has on empowering and nurturing the potential of our youth. Today, we've heard from Stacey how the transformative power of faith can shape the lives of our young people. Let's carry forward the compassion and commitment as we continue to support and uplift the next generation. To you, our listeners, may you find inspiration in their journey and join hands in creating a brighter tomorrow for our youth. Thank you for being with us today.